Hello?
How about now? You want to move over into another area and listen to see if you can hear it?
Why you get the cat? Wait till this catches up. Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, now.
How about now?
Yes. Now it works.
You want to move over into another area and listen to see if you can hear it?
Wait till this catches up.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
I'm going to turn the volume to off.
Yep, go ahead and mute the volume. We're going to get started here in just a minute.
Oops.
Wow, we got so much stuff here tonight. Holy moly. You know, we got a ton of stuff. All right.
Okay.
That's the very end. All right. I hate having all this stuff on my thing here, area. Yep. Well, we made it back in time.
Yes.
Yeah, good. It's great.
We were at
Another event. A couple events, consecutive events. So we're going to get started here in just a minute or two. We are just getting reoriented, refocused, sending out a few real quick messages here. Maggie and I have been actually out running around since about 5 o'clock. We ran out to Friends of the Dimmick Memorial Library to see that event, or to participate in that event. And then the 912 Project was sponsoring a candidate forum in which 3 of the 5 Republican candidates actually showed up. Could you adjust the camera just a little bit for the logo?
Yeah.
All right, just a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So just go up a little bit, about 4 inches, no more. I have the delay, so I don't.
Right.
I don't see it. Yeah, so that should be good. It'll catch up. You're right. That's a good reason why we should have it turned around. Right?
Yeah.
As you did say, as you did remind me. Now we will watch you in this 5-second delay slowly move it up. I'll say no a little bit more, which I was wrong. And then I got this big guy in the background behind me. You see that? The chopped off head guy?
Yes.
All right. All right, well, good evening. I'm Chris Lukasevich, Republican candidate for Carbon County Commissioner. This is Carbon Matters live streaming, which is the live streaming version of my blog at c4commissioner.org/Carbon Matters. And I'm joined as always, or all but one time, by my wife Maggie and co-host. So thank you much for joining us this evening here on Carbon Matters. And as always, I'd like to review, what the purpose of Carbon Matters live streaming is. First and foremost, it's to ensure that we're all better informed citizens. We want to have a conversation, secondly. And thirdly, it allows me an opportunity to project some of my vision, policies, positions, as I run the campaign for Republican candidate for Carbon County Commissioner. So thank you so much for those who are starting to roll in and join us here on Carbon Matters live streaming. Again, I'm Chris Lukasevich. I am joined by my co-host Maggie. And I always like to remind everyone that our official sponsor is Ruiz Coffee. Ruiz Coffee LLC. You can Google it. That is not only the official sponsor of Carbon Matters, but also C4, Chris for Carbon County Commissioner. And if you're drinking out of a C4 mug here in C4 headquarters on the 1200 block of Center Street in Jim Thorpe, you are indeed drinking Cafe Ruiz. And we just provided a bag yesterday to one of our very strong supporters and a very well-informed couple. And I'm talking well-informed when it comes to happenings and matters here in Carbon County. So we hope you enjoy your 454 grams, almost 1 pound of Cafe Ruiz, the official sponsor of C4, Chris for Carbon County Commissioner, and Carbon Matters live stream. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to jump right in. It's been a very busy week. I want to do a quick shout out to the SOS committee who hosted the conversation or candidate
Meet the
forum. Meet the candidate last night at the Mock Chunk Ballroom. Great setup. The first hour was kind of meet the candidate, have a social opportunity to engage with the candidates. All candidates, with the exception of the two incumbent Republicans who are running, we had all the other candidates there, right? Bob Jacobs, Rocky Arner, Sean Kresge, Tom Boyko, Jason Fry, and of course myself, Chris Lukasevich, Republican candidate for Carbon County Commissioner. And a gentleman did record my portion of the presentation period. We each had about 10 minutes to present our vision, our views. That is on my Facebook page if you want to take a look at that. That's been up there since late last night, so feel free to listen to my conversation. You see something on there?
I don't get Robin Klutz and Tawny.
All right, Tawny
Yeah.
and Robin, well,
Hi.
thank you so much for tuning in.
For some reason, it's not
Uh,
showing up on my iPad. Sorry.
You have to swipe. Or
I
something.
did.
Ah.
See, it's not showing up for
Okay, you're not getting the
I'm not getting
feed.
comments. Yeah, I'm the feeder.
Well, that's going to be tough to read. But nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump right into this. Got a lot of things coming up. First and foremost, Saturday in Weisport, I want to talk about the Armed Forces Day Salute. Dr. Jake Boyer. Dr. Boyer actually used to be the superintendent here in the Jim Thorpe School District. He is a critical player in the revitalization and providing great attention to the history of Weisport. And he is organizing an Armed Forces Day Parade. I will be participating with Maggie and a couple of our good friends who will be with us there. So if you're not doing anything else on Saturday around 1 o'clock, and I do know there are other activities in the county.
right. Jim Thorpe birthday.
Jim Thorpe birthday activities. Go ahead, stop down into Weisport and support what is an effort to spur revitalization down in that borough that has such great opportunity. All right, so again, Armed Forces Day. Just a couple weeks ago, you know, some of the, I would argue one of the most challenging jobs in Carbon County is being a corrections officer. And during a commissioners meetings 2 weeks ago, we did recognize, Carbon did honor its correction officers. Very difficult, challenging job and a challenging environment up there on the Broad Mountain. So hats off to our corrections officers, the COs, both full-time and part-time, and the support staff up there who bring that service to our community. Detainment service, I guess we could refer to that. Interesting, talking about the criminal element and the negative impact on our natural environment or quality of life. I saw an interesting article that actually came out of Tamaqua, and students were performing an addiction experiment. So we had a conversation, was it last night, about drug awareness training to our youth, and Tamaqua had a program that was brought in to help teach kids about the ills associated with drugs, illegal drugs specifically. So kudos off to the Tamaqua School District and the organizations that supported the addiction experiment. All right, and it's all about how substances affected worms.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, I'm sure there is some transfer, how it affects worms, affects people and stuff like that. Interesting to see how it affects worms. They kind of move slowly and squirm around. So when the business, the business report for the country is really well. We have the lowest unemployment rate in over 50 years. Unfortunately, Carbon County still lags behind its peers of the 67 counties. I just looked at our March numbers, and Carbon County continues to lag significantly in regards to how we rack and stack. I know you don't like me using that term, in regards to other counties of all 67. But I did see there was an article that Sharps, which is up in the Nesquehoning, the industrial park up there, is looking at the potential to expanding in our area. And what they do, Maggie, if you're not familiar, are you familiar with the Sharps company?
No.
Yeah, what they do is basically biomedical waste
Oh, right,
and
right.
incinerate it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's brought
I knew
in
that.
here. And they're looking at the potential for expanding. So good. We need jobs of all types and sorts here in Carbon County. Low end, high end, low education, medium, high education, the whole bit, right? We need a holistic approach to economic development. So hats off there for Sharps for continuing to invest in our community. We did, Maggie, you didn't join us, but my daughter Molly and I, our 19-year-old daughter, had an opportunity last weekend, not this past one, but the one before, to attend Safety Day out at Mock Chunk Lake Park, which was sponsored by Senator Udicek's office, if I recall correctly. So we had the opportunity to spend about an hour out there engaging with our emergency services personnel, individuals from the Master Gardener program there in Carbon County, which was really interesting. They're showing similarities between normal safe products and those products in a household that could be very dangerous for kids. And I know one example were the little, I'm going to call them the Tide
Pods, yeah.
the Tide Pods and what they look like and how dangerous they can be for children who may not be aware of the similarities
Well,
between
kids dare each other to
eat them. Yeah. I mean, wash your mouth out with Tide is what my mother used to say. That would be an easy way to do it instead of the ivory soap going into my mouth. And it was there. I do know that. So good event though. Safety education, great day. The weather was pretty decent while we were there, so enjoyed that. A great event up in Lansford.
Oh my!
Right. You want to just say a thing or two about
it was the Food Truck Festival.
Draws crowds in Lansford.
It was awesome. It was the most perfect day. It wasn't too hot. The sun was shining, which was amazing in itself. And although they had a really good turnout, you never felt like it was overcrowded.
Right. Yeah.
And that's one thing that I was telling people. It's like if we've usually lived in cities. You do any kind of event like that in a city, and it's hell. It really is. And you it's hot. There's people are jostling you. Molly's crying. She's hungry. I mean, it's
Chris
just like
is crying. He's hungry. Oh,
it's
that's
like
you.
The food that you want, you can't even get close to because the line is so long. So you just settle for like crap, and it's just really, it's just. I know you.
Right. I don't like
he
that
hated
word.
that. He hates
I
that
don't like 4-letter words.
Yeah. Right. Anyways,
but
heck,
it was
no,
perfect
but it was
weather.
perfect. There were tables with chairs. Usually you're sitting on a
clean
curb.
tables with
Clean
chairs.
tables with chairs.
Kudos to the fire company.
Yeah, it was a great fundraiser.
Yep.
Yeah. It really the food
Good
was
event.
the food was great too.
Yeah, and I focused on because Molly's bus attendant Donna had mentioned to me how good Vince's steaks were. Their
Right,
truck,
the cheesesteaks.
The cheesesteaks. I believe that was the same truck that was down here at Annie's.
At Annie's,
a few weekends ago when they first opened up, and I did have one of their cheesesteaks, and it was excellent. They had very great bread too. The rolls were good.
Rolls, yeah.
Now I'm not comparing or contrasting to Tommy's. I would never do that because I love Tommy's Philly cheesesteaks. But this was very good. Vince's
It was
were very
huge
good.
too.
Yep, it was a good recommendation.
Huge.
Good recommendation. So again, hats off to Lansford for
Lansford,
the food
great
festival.
job.
I
Yeah.
hope you do that
Every
again.
year.
Yep,
Every year.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And we'll continue to go until the crowds grow to the point of being frustrating. But right now, with its inaugural year, if I recall, it was really good.
Yeah.
All right, jumping into some business. I'm looking at a picture of the Bridge to Nowhere. They're still working down there. That Bridge to Nowhere, sooner or later, it's going to be a bridge to somewhere. So we look forward to that opening to create that connection
for the
between
DNL.
kind of the Weisport Canal, what we call the Weisport Canal, up to Jim Thorpe. Connecting the DNL and extending that. I think again that's going to help the revitalization of Weisport, bring more into Jim Thorpe and beyond, and hopefully, as you go a little further south to the very edge of Carbon County, down into other areas and stuff, because you connect all the way down to the Lehigh Valley. Well, you go up close to Whitehaven, which of course isn't Carbon County, but
and then Cementon.
yeah. So a lot. And in the same newspaper, Carbon Clerk's Court continues to attack the backlog. So hats off to those in the clerk of courts. for the effort that they're making to correct the debacle of 10 years that was failed to be acted upon by our current elected officials. So again, paying the price with a lot of extra work. But Fran Heaney has been given updates kind of on a regular basis in the commissioners' meeting. Interesting, when the problem was taking place, there were never any updates. But now that we're correcting it and things are seemingly going better, again, I can't judge myself. I can only go by what I'm told. And it appears to be going well.
There's accountability.
Accountability. But it seems like all of a sudden the commissioners are really interested in this office, and for 10 years they weren't. So again, I think politics always play this time of year out. But again, great job to Fran and all those in that office. Just across the street from where we're at 1200 block, we had the lieutenant governor here the other night. It was not an event that I did intend, although it was on my calendar. The lieutenant governor was in Jim Thorpe to discuss marijuana, recreational marijuana, which is more or less legalization. I actually didn't read the article on that. Did you?
I did a little bit. Yeah.
And did you get much from it? What were the? Were there?
It seemed that people were generally for it, like
for recreational use of it. You know, my concern is once you start having recreational use, you know, we've really curved back on the DUIs or driving under or while intoxicated. I suspect if we go to legalization of marijuana, I would be of the opinion all of a sudden we're going to have a driving while under the influence of marijuana rate that is going to cause significant problems here in the county and anywhere.
Yeah, actually, they did not say the way that how Jim Thorpe or the people who went to that reacted. They were basically telling, saying what's happened up until this point in other places. Literally, this article is useless as far as, I'm sorry, Chris Reber, but it's useless as far as what happened here. The only thing that's accurate here is that he was here. And then everything else is talking about polls in other places.
Other
than Carbon County.
What does Carbon County
think? What does Carbon County think? I mean, and he was here, so what were the people here saying?
Right, let's get a couple quotes from folks.
Yeah, it was not in there.
Was this the one before the... No, this was Saturday, May 11th. So there was a follow-on.
Oh, yeah. The one that's and they actually had the picture of him.
Yeah.
Where was that?
That's somewhere in here. All right, we'll
find that's what I was thinking, because it was the picture, and then I read through the first two columns, and then I didn't get.
Oh, there it is.
Marijuana
discussion comes to
there
Jim.
We go.
Is it the same picture?
No, this is different, Livy.
Okay. All right. I trust you.
Yeah, I don't think there's a picture there.
Okay.
Yeah, this one is. Let me see. Oh, yeah. He says your opinions matter. That's why we're here.
Right.
Okay, yeah. Whoa. Okay, so maybe I was wrong about that. It seems like people were against it.
So a mea culpa, and
sorry
errata
about
is
that.
issued. The author of the first article is writing beforehand.
People don't like the odor, and so they were saying...
Oh, that's right.
You can't have your
people who
windows open.
they live in proximity to a place that grows it commercially, I understand, and they don't like the odor.
Well, no, he's talking about, I guess, residents... from the facility. You're right. You're right. From Whitehaven. Yeah.
That's good.
That's it.
Yeah. All right. So again, 67
he still
counties.
He still has to go
visiting.
to Bucks.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. The Route 209 project, or what we refer to as the Mansion House project, the rock slide mitigation that's going on. I will tell you, I'm starting to get used to the rhythm.
Oh yeah, we don't even go that way.
Between 8:30 and 3. Avoiding the Mansion House. Well, because you have no. You don't have a choice. All right.
There's no access.
Interesting. I went to Wednesday. I went up to the Bagel Bunch. Went up around I went early. I went around 6:45 in the morning to get a dozen of bagels because Maggie assured me Wednesday was half price bagel day, which are $6 for a dozen bagels. Well, that's actually
Can't
Bagel
beat it.
Tuesday, not Bagel Wednesday. But nonetheless, again, as long as
We paid full price.
we paid full price, but great to support the Bagel Bunch.
Yes.
Because they are under duress right now.
Are they?
because
Oh,
of-
because of the.
Yeah, I talked to a couple of the employees up there, and the challenge with the close down around 209, from 8:30 to 3 is impacting their business. And my biggest
was
concern,
afraid of that
well, I'm afraid they'll
happening.
do away with the half-price bagels to make up for some of that lost revenue. That would have been my first suggestion for them as a business.
True.
Just thinking about that.
Just
so
to
again,
put it
remember
on-
between 8:30 and 3, avoid the Mansion House.
Yeah.
The Flagstaff Road on the Jim Thorpe side is pretty good. I will tell you, once you crest over and start going back down in Mahoning Township,
Oh, it gets rough.
it gets rough, and I think it's going to get rougher. You have the rain, you have heavy vehicles. Of course, no commercial trucks are allowed to go up there, but nonetheless, I really think we're starting already to see some slight deterioration in the condition of the Flagstaff Road. Again, specifically on the Mahoning Township side / Lehighton side of the mountain. Did you want to comment on that?
I was just going to make a little comment about because you mentioned trucks,
Yeah.
and it made me think of 2 times now. Trucks are getting rerouted. I guess their GPS is not doing them well.
Yeah.
Doing a great disservice actually. They're routing them through going past Penn Peak on Maury Road, then making a right on Long Run, and it's routing them through. And they're making it fine. It's when they get down to Canal Road where you make that right.
And there's a big Christopher Carbon County Commissioner sign
Yes.
about 20 meters down.
but they can't make the turn.
Yep.
And so people behind have to go down and then come back around.
Yep.
And they get stuck there. And kudos to there's a couple that lives in the house right there.
Gentleman who owns the home.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
I
they-
spoke to him.
So nice. They're very, very, like, they go out and they try to help the truckers because the truckers go in and they're like, their truck is literally blocking the road.
Well, that gentleman, I spoke to him when I was putting up my 4x8 sign.
Yeah.
I thank Miss Jean for allowing me to do that there on her property. But the gentleman who owns the house, who lives there, long-haired guy, really
Yeah,
nice guy, rides
very
a
nice.
motorcycle.
Yeah.
He was telling me he was building a wall, kind of using it as ballards because so many people were cutting that corner and
Yep.
running into his property and that
Yep.
which he had there, actually building a rock wall while I was there. So that's pretty
It's
interesting.
going to get knocked down.
So again, if you're just joining us, I'm Chris Lukasevich.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people.
Republican
Sorry.
candidate for Carbon County Commissioner, and this is Carbon Matters live streaming. Maggie's having a little bit of
My
problem on
iPad
her
is not-
iPad. She's not seeing the comments.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have her
Nancy.
reset that. Hi Nancy, how
Dirk
are you?
Pompa.
Hi, Dirk. Dirk
Pompa,
Oh,
yeah.
hi Dirk.
Yeah.
Good to see you're on. So
Yeah.
again, this is Carbon Matters live streaming. I always have to give a shout out to Cafe Ruiz, the official sponsor of Carbon Matters live streaming, and Christopher Carbon County Commissioner, where we discuss the issues that matter most to you and me and Maggie and all of us here in Carbon County. A lot going on. We did have some good comments going on in the commissioners' meetings the last 2 weeks. The SOS committee, St. Mark's Church, and those who were concerned with the project of the Susquehanna Street are waiting for the county to officially withdraw their building plans to Jim Thorpe, at which time their response would be to withdraw the legal suit. That they have filed against the borough of Jim Thorpe. So we're waiting on that.
And they did mention last night that they're 10,000 in the hole right now, as of right now.
Yeah, for what?
For
Engineer
legal-
fees
legal
and legal
fees.
fees
Legal
that they
fees,
had
yeah.
to pay. So there are some fundraisers
That-
I
yeah.
think that they have coming up. And again, you should reach out to the
Yeah.
SOS committee. They do have a Facebook page, and their events should be posted on there.
Yeah.
Interesting, Tolmensing Township gentlemen, as most people know, feral cats are one of the most interesting issues for me. I have some good friends down in Palmerton who deal with the feral cat issue. I did note up in Lansford there is also a growing feral cat issue
Yeah.
I know in Australia they tend to cull the herds. As I was doing some research, same thing as they do to kangaroos. You know, we think kangaroos are
Are so
really
cute. They
they're
shoot
a
'em.
nuisance.
Yeah, they
are
shoot 'em.
They're like deer. You know,
Worse than deer because
Worse than deer.
your car is really totaled.
yeah,
Well,
right.
and they're
You know,
big.
Yep.
Yeah,
Big
I don't
and
think
strong.
people understand how big kangaroos are.
But we, as visitors to Australia
Yeah.
for a year, guests of the Australian people, we're mesmerized by them.
Oh yeah,
we
they're-
love them.
Oh yeah,
They want to go shoot them.
there's so much roadkill.
Right.
Whenever you drive anywhere, there's so much roadkill, like dead kangaroo, dead
Yeah.
kangaroo, dead kangaroo.
And we had them in our neighborhood.
Oh,
we
yeah.
had them what, maybe a kilometer or so away, right by where the college was when I went in Weston.
Our
so we
first
saw
day, our first day there.
Oh, in the middle, right at the Capitol.
Chris and Molly were sleeping because they were jet lagged. Taylor and I said, "We're going to tough it out. We're going to stay awake." And we went outside because the room was dark and they were trying to sleep. So I was like, "Come on, Taylor, let's go outside." So he was like 7 at the time.
Yeah.
We walked out, stepped out, and right in front of us, boing, boing, boing,
Yeah.
boing, a kangaroo went hopping down in the middle of the city.
And this was about maybe less than a half a mile from their Capitol
From the
building.
Capitol building.
The part where Parliament
Yeah.
sits. Yeah.
Like-
Right down there. Amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really cool. We were
Yeah.
like, Taylor and I looked at each other. We're like, we're in Australia. It was so awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
So, but there was a Tomenson Township gentleman who put a letter to the editor,
Oh.
and he was considering feral cats to be an invasive species because what they do, because they prey on the garter snake, eastern bluebird, and the red spotted newt. And his point was because they look like tabby, many people get emotional about them and go to great lengths to protect them. And of course, he is making the point that it's not necessarily the best for our environment to allow these feral cats, neutered or otherwise, to be running around our community. And he says the cat compromise in Palmerton protects feral cats at the expense of a large number of birds and animals they will inevitably kill.
Wow.
What? And
I never even thought about that.
No, that's great, and that's why.
Because I thought the whole thing was neuter them, and that kind of keeps it to a
that keeps the population
population down,
but it
but then
doesn't stop their
them
killing of
killing-
natural
yeah,
species.
exactly.
Right.
No, that's a great point.
all
I
right.
never, yeah.
So there was another. I love the letter to the editors. Voices from across. There was another one writing about the closing of Glenanoco. It seemed to have calmed down a little bit, at least on
Yeah,
social
people
media. But there was.
People still post little
Yeah.
memes and stuff, like there's waterfalls all over Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
We're the only ones who close ours.
Yeah, but there was an article, and gosh, it says the public will not suffer because of result of this decision. There's hundreds of spectacular waterfalls throughout the Poconos that
Which
you
I
can
just
go
said
ahead
that.
and visit,
It's-
except for Glenanoco, of course. But again, the lady from Albrightsville who wrote this article got hammered on social media. Who wrote this letter
right.
to the
well,
editor?
because people want access to Glenanoco.
to their park, just
Yeah.
like any other park. Wind turbines on the Broad Mountain. Last night they did have another zoning board hearing. Unfortunately, I was unable to get up there, so my regrets to the folks up in Packer Township. But again, the priority was on the forum, the SOS
Meet the
candidate forum.
candidate.
I hope there is understanding about that. But I did see Broad Mountain Wind Project did open their field office down there on Carbon Street in Weatherly. And that should be right there by where the Judge Magistrate office is down there in that little shopping center
Oh, right.
area. And there's a little minute mark down there. The project will cost between 125 and 145 million to develop, with 12 to 15 million going directly into the local economy. Construction will create between 100 and 120 jobs, some permanent required for operations and maintenance. All right. Wind project like this also generate long-term predictable revenue streams for municipalities and schools through property tax and host agreements. And you could see these host agreements proposal on c4commissioner.org/carbon matters. Also on my Facebook page, I posted the host community agreement for the school districts and the municipalities impacted by that. Primary is coming up 21 May. I
May,
encourage you,
Tuesday.
each and every one to get out and vote.
Yes.
For the commissioner race, I would ask you consider not voting for incumbents. The fact is, if we want positive change in Carbon County, or at least the opportunity for positive change, any incumbent, any one, or of course any two, will be an obstacle or an impediment to the ability to make positive change. So I would like to encourage you, when you go to vote, not to vote for an incumbent. Bottom line up front. Again, do keep in mind you have the opportunity to vote for two. You do not have a requirement to vote for two candidates for
Right.
Carbon County Commissioner. So that should go into your decision making. Do you want to vote for two? Do you want to vote for one? I always say vote for the candidate or potentially candidates that is best for you, your family, and our community.
Frank D'Amato says, oops, sorry. Kristen Kusevich for commissioner. Time to put honor and integrity back into the county. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Frank,
Yeah,
and
he
welcome.
said the incumbents have failed.
Yep.
Truly.
Thanks, Frank,
Yeah,
and
thanks,
I
Frank.
appreciate being able to come out to White Bear there and place a sign.
Yeah.
That's the third one I've placed out at White Bear, and as I think I may have left a note or an email that I actually placed. You have the largest of the three on West White Bear, and actually I pre-weedied it before I placed it because I knew we were going to have a lot of rain. So I just got down to almost the optimal level height for grass, so it wouldn't burn in case it got sunny, but it had the opportunity to grow based upon the rain. So thank you guys so much for allowing me to put that out there.
Yeah,
You actually
thank
have a wonderful lawn. They have a nice lawn. It is thick and plush.
Wow.
It was really nice.
Unlike ours.
All right. Again, another article on the pressure to change the primaries to a more open primary. Really didn't go into much detail what open really means. Does it mean you can vote for any candidate in the top four go? You remember for the commissioner's race, it's somewhat challenging to be more open because you have to have two from the Republican Party, two from the Democrat Party who go forward into the general. Now, this article was referring to more inclusive, so independent, non-affiliated. All those minority parties also have an opportunity to vote. And I am not opposed to considering that. I want to be more inclusive, less exclusive when it comes. Because also, I want candidates from other than simply the Democrats
and
Republicans to have an opportunity also, because I know there's just so much untapped potential out there. And I talked to quite a few very experienced, intelligent, thoughtful, informed, voters who aren't necessarily a Democrat or Republican.
Or independent. Yeah.
So I support that.
And it says, sorry, but he was gonna cut the grass.
Oh, I just did it right around the sign. I didn't do your whole lawn, Frank.
Yeah. No. He said he was sorry. He was gonna cut it.
Oh,
And he
okay.
goes,
No, it was good. It was perfect.
Yeah,
I mean, it was about an inch
needs-
and a half. It was a perfect height.
Yeah.
I just knew I wanted to last through election day,
Right.
primary day, because I carry my weed eater in my truck, and I'm always going around doing maintenance on the signs, either making sure they're straight, level, plumb, or
Right.
actually weed eating around them. We spotted a couple today
that are going to go back to.
Yep.
Marianne, hi. I'm glad you made it back home
Yep.
safe and sound.
Yep.
I'm thinking that you're at home.
Yeah.
And I hope the rest of that
912
912
project candidate
would-
forum went well. Maggie and I, this evening about 5 o'clock, we went to the Friends of the Dimmock Memorial Library.
Yeah.
Quick get together there, or at least our time was quick there. I am a board member of the Dimmock Memorial Library, so it was
and
nice
apparently
to connect.
I'm a friend now.
I
signed
guess
up.
if you go,
No, I signed up to. I don't know why I hadn't thought about it before, and I'm like, why? I mean, I love going to their events. I'm actually very supportive. I'm actually part of the book club as well, the Dimmock Friends of Dimmock
Yeah.
Library Book Club, and
Yeah, no, that's good. And our library system is critical for our communities. It's a place to meet, a place to expand your horizons. A lot of great, the Palmerton Library, Lee Heighton Library, Jim Thorpe Library, which are state libraries. Then you also have, there's a Panther Valley Library, and then there's also a library up in Weatherly. And then, well, the Penn Kidder is also another out there at Pine Point Plaza currently, another library. Again, that's not part of the state system.
No.
So, nor is the Weatherly at this time. Now, there is that movement to assimilate the Penn Kidder Library into the Dimmock system to become one library, and that's moving ahead. And again, the aspiration is that more services can be provided through that collaboration and relationship, not only to the citizens of Jim Thorpe and Nesquehoning, because we serve both, but of course to that unique population up on top of the mountain or out the mountain,
Out the mountain.
Penn Forest and Kidder townships. Talking about Penn Forest Township, we have one of the greatest venues, if not the finest venue in the Poconos, right up in Penn Forest Township, which is Penn's Peak. Penn's Peak. And I bring that up because we're quickly approaching D-Day, 6 June 1944, the commemoration actually of the 75th anniversary of the Allied invasion into France on the Normandy coastline. That was really the start of the liberation of Europe. So I want to highlight an event that's coming up on 6 June. It's going to be at Penn's Peak, and the net proceeds will benefit Valor Clinic, which is an LLC, 501c3 that works to support veteran needs, and also Boy Scout Troop 555, which is up on the mountain. So here it is. Here's the official poster, and I want to thank Mylan Printing of Jim Thorpe, because they did provide us not only first-rate printing, but they did provide us a significant number of complimentary copies, reprints, just a little variation from this one I'm showing here. So Carbon remembers D-Day, 6 June 1944, 75th anniversary at Penn's Peak. We're going to start sharply at 1800 hours. That's 6 o'clock for you civilians, right? And we have adjusted to that. But at from 6 to 7, we have the Swing Time Dolls, World War II music, era music.
a la Andrews Sisters.
A la the Andrews Sisters. We'll have a short intermission at 7. At 7:15, Miss Emily McManaman will be singing God Bless America. Pennsylvania National Guard is going to come in and post our national colors. Then at 7:30, we'll have a public display of the epic World War II film, The Longest Day. So that'll go until 22:45 hours or 10:45 at night.
It's going to be a late night, but
it'll
it's
be a
worth
late
it.
night. The snack bar will be open.
Comfort breaks.
There will be comfort breaks. The snack bar will be open down on the performance level. The bar will be open down there also. Also on the upper deck, roadies will be open until their normal closing hours. So there will be opportunities for drinks and snacks and food there at Penn's Peak. Again, carbonremembersdday.org. Please get your tickets early. carbonremembersdday.org, and there is a Facebook page of the same name, Carbon Remembers D-Day. I want a special thanks, and this is going to get personal. I guess this is my Facebook Live broadcast, so at time I can think about self and my interest and what's in the best interest of the campaign to be elected Carbon County Commissioner to help make a difference and give back to the community and the American taxpayers, including those in Carbon County who have invested in me over 34 years, right? Your financing via tax paying trained me, educated me, sent me around the world and gave me leadership and management experience that I think is second to none. And I think you also benefited from the largesse of the American taxpayer for your 6 years of service also, to include the opportunity to use the
Veterans
GI
Education.
Bill, but VEAP back then it was called the Veterans Educational
Education
Assistance
Assistance
Program, aka the GI Bill, to attend Penn State.
Yes.
And so we're very blessed, and plus all the other blessings that come along with serving in the
Yes.
military. But I want to give a shout out to a Mr. Fellman and a Mrs. Llewellyn, who have put editorials in the newspaper recently to support my candidacy, and then the multitude of others on social media,
Yes.
and who come up to me personally, who
So
pull
grateful.
over when I'm out there weed eating or hammering in a sign or doing
Yeah.
all kinds of crazy things, or canvassing, who come up and say, you know, how supportive of they are
Yeah.
of my effort to bring positive change to Carbon County and do business more effectively, more efficiently for each and every one of the 64,000 residents here in Carbon County. So thank you guys so much. Great to hear the TV commercials. Fox News and Blue Ridge Cable. Blue Ridge Cable at 5:30 and the repeat of 6:30 of the Valley Report. Fantastic to hear those.
Yeah.
Just had a gentleman who saw us on Fox News last night, and those commercials are playing there. So again, if you're just joining us now, as
Yeah.
we moved to about the last 10 minutes of Carbon Matters live streaming, and this is our last
This is the last
edition
one, yeah, before the
before
primary.
the election,
Yeah.
for the primary election, and then Maggie and I are going to take a month off after the
Oh.
primary for Carbon Matters live streaming.
Good to know.
We're going to go kind of radio listening silence only. I'll continue to go to the commissioners' meetings and live stream those, but again, we are not going to do Carbon Matters. We're going to take a 1-month hiatus as we enjoy our summer. Molly's getting out of school. I have a short trip planned to take kind of
It's for my dad's 80th birthday.
Going to take a short trip there. But again, let's get back to business. So for you, if you're just joining us in our final minutes of Carbon Matters live streaming, I'm Chris Lukasevich, Republican candidate for Carbon County Commissioner. And you know, if it matters to you, it does matter to me. And I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. I'm here accompanied, of course, by my wife, Maggie. Carbon Matters is supported by Cafe Ruiz Gourmet Coffee. You can Google Ruiz Coffee LLC out of Strongville, Ohio, where you can too purchase Cafe Ruiz. And if you don't want to spend the money on a gourmet cup of coffee or a 16-ounce bag, more or less, you can come by C4 headquarters any morning between about 7:30 and 9:30, any evening between 7:30 and 9:30. We'll have the coffee available. We'll put it on. We'll even provide the cream and sugar until
Yes.
it runs out. If I don't get to Walmart soon, it will run out. I've been putting that off and off and
Yeah.
off because things have been so busy. It'll probably be a 2:30 a.m. trip down there. But again, we will serve Cafe Ruiz coffee to you, and we'll actually serve it in a C4 mug. My mug on the mug. That is good. But I will tell you, it's actually water right now. But I am
dying
going to
of
brew
thirst.
some as soon as we're
Yes,
done
we
here.
have another
So
night
again,
ahead.
Yeah. So again, back to politics, because that's what this is all about, really, right? And making a difference. So I did see about 4,183 direct mail pieces went out. And it was also posted on my Facebook page. No smearing, no physical or emotional attacks on individuals, specifically the incumbents we have. Raised our taxes over 49%, gave themselves a $7,800 pay raise, increased our debt by $24 million, increased spending by 43%, ignored corruption in the clerk of court's office, threatened to destroy St. Mark's Church. They're all facts. I love this little line, higher taxes for you, higher pay for Tommy and Wayne. It's a fact. Again, it's not smearing, it's a fact. You can go ahead and do your own research. Just Google any of these particular topics. Go to the minutes at the county's website. You can see where the majority of these issues were voted upon, be it their pay raises, tax increases, things of that nature. Or, again, a Google search, normally through the Standard Speaker or the Times News, and you'll find all the resources from which this information was gleaned.
Right.
And the fact, of course, since August of 2016, I've been attending the commissioners' meetings on a very, very, very regular basis. But again, all these facts are backed up. And on the backside, again, was information that gives you a better understanding of who I am, what I believe in, the values, and the changes that I will work to make on your behalf.
And I did not cut my hair.
No, that was a picture of a little bit ago.
Just 2 years, I think.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
my hair's grown like this much in 2
Right.
years. It was like
Yeah.
up here.
Yeah, yeah. I did note in the Times News. I had a lot of endorsements, written endorsements, social media, people coming up to endorsing me. Not one politician, well, actually, two have endorsed me on the lowdown. Matter of fact, one today did also, and I'm not going to mention.
Well, no, because
his-
they did it on the lowdown.
Yeah, they did it on the lowdown because again,
There's politics.
there's politics involved, and
Involved,
again,
yeah.
they're looking out for their communities, and I respect that. But I did notice, other than a mulligan from Jim Thorpe, right, who owns a shop in Jim Thorpe, who came out to support Tom Gerhardt. I wish I had that. I'd love to read that because
Yeah, I did.
it was really, it was strange about that particular commissioner
Well,
supporting the business community in Jim Thorpe. Yet I would wonder, wait, he was willing to risk St. Mark's Church, which directly impacts the economic vitality of this community. I just
Also,
don't see
the
it.
Times News bed and breakfast. The Times bed and breakfast.
What about
is jeopardized? It was
It's jeopardized, yeah.
Well, it was jeopardized by the
By it.
whole.
Yeah, so
construction.
I kind of was going to pick that apart, but I said, no, I'll let it go.
Well,
You-
and actually, someone who knows the person very, very well said those were not her words.
Someone drafted
She
it for
put
her?
her name to it, or she allowed people to put her name to it.
Well,
But
that's, to
she-
me, that's just as bad. If you have someone ghostwrite it for you, it's your name at the bottom of that.
I know, but what I'm saying is they couldn't even get someone
Right. Well,
to-
it's
yeah,
interesting.
whatever.
Again,
Yeah,
like
so-
I see this Heffley, Muser, and Knowles who are endorsing these two incumbents because they're trusted, experienced, and conservative leadership. I just don't see it, and I'd like to think most informed.
Okay, just to make a quick point that no one brings up, but it bothers the heck out of me. We went to the Lincoln dinner,
Yeah.
and they said from the very beginning they were not going to support any candidates until after the primary.
And there you have
They
the
said
two
that.
senior elected.
They said no money would go towards supporting any candidate
specific candidates.
until after the primary, and then the people's choice they were going to get behind.
Supportive of,
yeah,
right, for the Republican.
get behind.
And that brings
And-
a great. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, and then now to come to find out,
Yeah, so a PAC, a political action committee, provided the Future Fund. It's called. I believe it's out of Philadelphia, and I will be,
Harrisburg.
no, Philadelphia. I'll be posting this in the next. Again, it ties back to Philadelphia, the Future Fund. But so here's the bottom line: this political action committee gave $5,000 on the 27th of April to the Carbon County GOP. The Carbon County GOP on the 29th of April took that $5,000 and gave it to Wayne and Tom's campaign. Again, so this is funneling through the Carbon County GOP. So who is influencing elections here in Carbon County? A PAC, a political action committee, is influencing you and your position by providing these candidates money.
And what angers me is that these are Republicans funding Republicans to go against other Republicans. I mean, so it's almost like it's a civil war almost.
Right.
It's like, who does that? Who funds? It's like let the chips fall where they may. And then after the primary, then let's just all get on the same sheet of music. But what is this with
Yeah.
with creating this I'm sorry. I can't verbalize it.
the
I can't
Carbon
articulate
County
it.
GOP should have been neutral,
Neutral.
all the way to the end.
Yeah.
Doyle, Heffley, Dan Muser, Knowles, you should have been neutral to the end.
Right.
You weren't.
Yeah.
So again, come 22
So
May,
long.
the end of the 21st and 22, we'll see how this plays out for those individuals who are endorsing these incumbents who have not done right by you, me, my family, or our community. It's a fact. All you gotta do is a little bit of research, attend a few of those commissioner meetings, watch the live streaming version, and you'll see our best interests are not served. We do not have the voice at the table that
No.
each and every one of us deserves. You know? And I'm gonna say this, Maggie, I know. So this is their second mailing, and they are fluff pieces. I mean, they say they're fiscally responsible and transparent. Anyone who has attended commissioners' meetings know there is no transparency in county government. Fiscal responsibility, you know, again, 43% budget increase, 49% tax increase, $24 million in long-term debt. That doesn't seem like fiscal responsibility to me. How much money was spent on poor project management? The archives building,
Millions.
the archives building that's now over on 4th Street in Jim Thorpe, the Emergency Operation Training Center, Susquehanna Street project, even going back to Packard and Yard. I mean, there's multitude examples of poor fiscal responsibility and project management, lack of transparency. 26 acres of Packard and Yards being given to Lee Heighton. We learn about it in the Times News.
Yeah.
We don't learn about it at a commissioner's meeting.
Or even like a workshop or something where they say, "Hey, we're thinking about doing this."
Right.
You
Yep.
know, how do the people
Yeah,
feel?
and I'm going to ask this because I find it interesting. Hopefully, this can be seen. I think most people, if you're in Carbon County, you saw this picture. This is Tom Gerhard and Wayne mailer that came out. Does anyone recognize this Carbon County family or where they might be in Carbon County? I am telling you, I've never
It's a
seen.
stock photo.
I've never seen anyone in Carbon County that looks like this family. And if I'm incorrect, if I've never met you, this beautiful, healthy, happy family running on our trails, the switchback or anywhere, please let me know. And I will apologize publicly for not having seen you, met you, talked to you, reached out to you, because I can only assume you're Republicans in Carbon County if you were willing to do this ad for Tom and Wayne. And I have the walking list of every Republican, all 18,000 plus, and I
need to read some comments.
Oh,
They're
okay.
starting to go away. Not go away, but they're...
Okay.
So TJ Garitano says that's frustrating but comical because none of the individuals on that pack have helped the economic growth of our county.
Yep.
People are waking up, Chris. What you started is growing and have not helped the growth, yeah. And Frank said the good old boy system, of course, the archive
Yeah.
building is a joke. They could have purchased 4 hard drives to do the...
There you go,
Oh
Frank.
my gosh!
Right,
that's the truth.
technology makes
Yeah.
a difference. Right. Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Frank said, I thought the same thing right before I ripped it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So again, my apology in advance if this is a family in Carbon County I have
Oh
not
yes,
met.
that
'cause
we
I
have not.
met
Yes,
them all.
sorry. No, we would love to meet you
Yeah.
if you are a family in Carbon
And
County.
you're that happy on that trail at that date on that time, and you support those 2 incumbents, and you truly believe
would
that
love
they're
to
going
talk
make
to
your
you.
life better. I do go to, I was up in Weatherly. I went out towards Lehigh Luzanne Fire Company. Oh, we got a few minutes.
yeah, we-
A last little vignette.
Well,
I'm gonna. All right.
wait, what?
So
Okay.
An individual up in Lehigh Township, a supervisor, provided me an opportunity to place one of my large signs of 4x8 up there in Lehigh Township. Basically, right there by Lehigh Luzanne Fire Company, in an excellent position. And my sincere appreciation for my sign constructor buddy Larry,
Larry.
who runs out with me. And it was about 43 degrees, pouring down rain, and there we were up there in Lehigh Township and in Packer Township with the gentleman who allowed us to put 2 4x8s on his property, but it was pouring down rain. It was miserable as hypothermia weather, but I do digress. Nonetheless, up there in Lehigh and Luzanne, coming back though the next day, because I went up to ensure that sign was still there. I didn't think it would last 24 hours up in that particular part of Carbon County. Came through the other side of Weatherly into Packer Township along Brinkman Road, which is really the main road that comes into Weatherly,
Right.
Off of
3.
93, off of 93. So what I do is, if there's an opposition sign, I go to every house and I introduce myself. If they're not there, of course, I leave one of my door hangers. If they're there, I talk to them. I didn't have my walking list, so I went to the library in Weatherly and I dropped off one of the posters for Follow Me, one of the updated ones that actually show net proceeds go to Valor Clinic and Boy Scout Troop 555. I went and dropped off that particular concert board there, but then I said, well, I have 45 minutes before I really have to head back and be back at 6 for Molly's dinner. So I said, well, I'm just going to hit houses along the road that have opposition signs of the 2 opposition candidates. Well, the first house I went to had a bunch of opposition signs, plus it had no wind turbine signs. It was a ranch house on the left side leaving Weatherly, but in Packer Township. Knocked on the door lightly, not overly heavy. It didn't appear to be anyone around, actually. So I was sitting there writing a little note that I stopped by to introduce myself. Hi, I stopped by to introduce myself. Respectfully, Chris, and I put my phone number, and I put the door hanger there by the door, probably in a little by the weather stripping or something. And I get in my truck, because their houses are about 25, 50
They're far
meters
enough
apart. There's no
apart.
pavements,
Yeah.
right? So you can't park. So I go to the next house, get out, I go to that door. Then all of a sudden I hear a lady yelling at me. And I see Tommy Gerhardt, the opposition, come running out of his house down his driveway, not towards me, like towards his mailbox, or maybe he turned. It was all happening quick. And this lady,
It's a blur.
named Susan Gerhardt, yells at me, Lukasevich, it's something like, Lukasevich, you can take your trash, you asterisk number sign HOLE. Literally, that's what she yelled at me. And I just waved and continued on my merry way. But it was interesting, and I did go to about 7 more houses up there. Spoke to 3 or 4 individuals. They were very gracious, very welcoming. So I'm going to say, as I always had, that one particular house in Packer Township is an anomaly. And those other folks who I interacted with there and have interacted with are the norm up in Packer Township. So I appreciate your willingness to welcome me into your home for a few minutes, between 5 and 6 in the evening, right before your dinner hour.
So going back to some more comments before quickly.
Of course.
Mary Ann says, and they took the multi-million-dollar bond to fund the Susquehanna project, but since the project was canceled or scaled back, they said the bond money would be invested. I'll bet the interest rate for the bond is more than the interest earning for investment.
Of course,
Why not return the bond?
Right.
Or can't they do that?
Yeah. Well,
And
you'd
then-
have to pay. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. And then TJ said the cost of the parking garage could build a 5-star hotel and create jobs instead of 20 parking spots.
Right, yeah.
Oh my goodness. And then Marianne says, he says you're welcome. He has your back.
Yeah, he does. Yep. And we'll be doing some, Maryam, a Friday afternoon, Sunday afternoon. Definitely have 2 that 2 4x8s that we're going to move. One is going down to a road I talked to Larry about, and then you can tell Larry he had an idea of where to put a 4x8 where I currently have 2 2x3s, and I was a little initially hesitant, but I'm actually going to go in and talk to that couple and see if they wouldn't mind if we put it there for 24 to 36 hours, because it's just such a great location. So my thanks to Larry for coming up with that brainstorm idea and of that particular sign location. I think we might be able to pull it off. And thank him again for going out in that miserable weather for those 3 signs.
I had to say something quickly here. Chris, for 34 years in the military, and he was Special Forces and Ranger, and has done incredible, crazy stuff that he'll never talk about. And yet, he will war story the heck out of his little escapades with Larry, and it was hypothermia weather. And
yeah,
just
well, we had
kidding.
a good time. We were knee deep in mud in a field, weren't we, Larry? Right? We know that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it was pouring down rain. I don't think Larry didn't have his gloves, and I refused to give him mine. But I think Larry didn't have his gloves.
Wow,
But anyway,
selfless service.
Selfless service.
Selfless
Yep.
service.
It's teaching him a lesson, right? The Ranger, right? One of Robert Rogers' 19 standing orders: forget nothing.
Nothing.
So I simply teaching Larry a lesson. Don't leave the house on a 40-degree day when it's raining, going to build signs, and not bring your warm gloves, because you're going to need them. But again, it was good. So thanks to Larry for that. Look forward to getting back out on the road with him.
I'm
So
sure
again,
he's looking forward to it too.
right. But he did. He saw it. And again, I would ask anyone, when you have a chance to meet Larry, who's been working with me with Place and Signs, talk to him about the experience and what we saw. We had a guided tour of an incredible facility.
Oh, right, yeah.
By a gentleman up in Packer Township. Then he showed us the vehicle that they're building for the Shriners. Just amazing. And they have test run it already, but it will be out. And matter of fact, that gentleman offered to give us a ride post 21 May in that particular vehicle. It's really cool. I can't wait till they publicly display it. They get all the decals on it and stuff like that. And that supports Shriners and stuff like that. So I guess with all the little cars running around, all right, you'll have this.
What do they call the penny? No, the tin.
Tin Lizzies.
Tin Lizzies.
Yeah, so it'll probably be running around with the Tin Lizzies. And we had an experience with them in the parade in Jim Thorpe. So what I want to finish up with just 1 or 2 things. One, first and foremost, I want to remind you about 2 particular events, not politically related. One is a little bit. So Armed Forces Day Parade in Weissport starting at 1 p.m. This Saturday. Please, if you have an opportunity, don't want to be included in the Jim Thorpe activities. There's also a carnival going down in Palmerton. Crusaders Carnival.
Crusaders, and it's
that
to
starts
raise
today,
money.
right? Friday. It's 3 or 4 days. So
Right.
Crusaders
Yeah,
Carnival,
Carnival,
though,
yeah.
down in the main
But it's
park
for
on
to
Delaware.
raise money for.
For that organization, Crusaders.
Well, no, but it's for something.
I know.
I know. We can't
I'm not
remember.
familiar.
I'm sorry.
But they're getting all set up there, so hopefully the ground is drying out in the park.
Right.
But it's looking good.
Gorgeous day today.
All right. So then the 6th June, Carbon Remembers D-Day. Incredible evening plan from 6 to 10:45, 1800, 2245 hours. Please join us. Tickets are available for a donation at carbonremembersdday.org, carbonremembersdday.org. Love to see you there.
Yes.
All right. And the most important thing that's going to occur next week, other than being with my family, is going to be primary election day, right? So you need to get out to the polls. Polls are opening at 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So please, if you don't know where your precinct or voting location is at, give me a call at 570-503-6780. There should also be a precinct or a polling place listing on the county website. I have not necessarily seen that. I will tell you, sample ballots for each of the voting precincts are available on the county website. I did post the hyperlink, I believe, is also on C4 Commissioner, the Facebook page, C4 Commissioner. Additionally, if there's any questions you have of me before the election, 570-503-6780. Give me a call. Stop by C4 headquarters. 7:30 to 9:30, both AM and PM. I'll be available. If not, see me on the streets because we'll be out there over the next 4 or 5 days. A big movement of signs taking place. We were kind of holding off on some sign placement until everyone else kind of more or less had culminated. So you're going to see a bunch more signs going out there for C4. They are going to be tactically placed but having strategic impact. Also, there's going to be some reshuffling of existing signs out there. For those of you who have already offered or have allowed us to put signs on your property, you might see some shifting or movement of those. And I apologize if some of those movements occur late at night at the wee hours. I'll make sure everyone is having a C4 button or badge to identify themselves. For all us, concealed carries, hunters, riflemen out there, please keep your weapon on safety, understanding the ultimate safety is your finger and your brain. So when I'm out there at 2 a.m. pulling up a sign or putting one in, that I don't get shot or anyone else who might be helping us as we reshuffle and reposition signs for election day. I do owe one sign to Ryan. I did not forget about you at all, Ryan. It just, I got a little bit, had a couple other priorities that popped up. So I still plan on getting out your way and getting the sign out to you, Ryan. So my apologies for the delay in getting out there. Vote 21 May.
Yes, please.
Do what's best when it comes to selecting candidates at all levels. What's best for you, your family, our community. If you are interested in working for C4 Commissioner on election day at the polls,
polling place,
there still are polling place opportunities available. Peak times are from 7 to 9 a.m., 11 to 1, and then 4 to 8. Those are critical times. Individuals are already committed for full-time days, and I appreciate that. But again, don't feel you have to. There's opportunities I'm sure we can shuffle around to accommodate your times or places, be it up in Audenried, Weatherly, Tresco, Beaver Meadows, out in Kidder Township, Lehigh Township, Toamencing, wherever in the county. I'm sure we can accommodate you if you'd like to be out there handing out mints and things of that nature.
Wrappers.
Maggie, do you mind taking the camera?
I was
and I
gonna
want
say
you to
that.
focus on the guy behind my shoulder.
Yeah. I was going to say.
And we do have a kind of a unique thing that's going to be popping out there on election day.
It's too late now.
Is it? So is it in focus?
Yeah.
All right. So we have all these flat Chris's we're going to have out at certain election day locations, polling places. And we would ask, as you come up to the polling places, we'd love to get a picture of you with flat Chris. Again, why not have a little levity, during this day? I mean, for some it might be stressful. I don't stress over things I can't control, but I can enjoy doing things like having flat Chris's around the county. And I'd love for you to take a picture with the flat Chris if you see it at your particular polling places. They will be moving around during election day, so hopefully your timing at the polls will coincide with the placement of one of the flat Chris's there. And then what we're going to do, go ahead, Megan.
I was going to say, I will say, this flat Chris is taller than the actual Chris.
Yeah.
He's heroic in size.
Yeah, and that was a purposeful thing. So again, please feel free to come up. If someone isn't actually at the flat Chris, feel free to take your own selfie with flat Chris, post it on Facebook, show your support for positive change in Carbon County. And lastly, I'm going to say, I know of 3 notable school district races out there: Homerton School District, the Lehighton School District, and the Jim Thorpe School District. Mostly the Jim Thorpe and Lehighton. I'm seeing a lot of signs. I'm seeing a lot of energy out there. Please make sure you go and be an informed voter for your school district voting because of the significance they play in taxation on us. They have the preponderance of the taxation authorities in the state of Pennsylvania and of course in Carbon County. So school district Voting is extremely important to our quality of life and to our fiscal management. So again, good night. Chris Lukasevich, Republican candidate for Carbon County Commissioner, signing off, and again, thanking each and every one of you for joining us this evening. Good night. Thank you. See you on 21 May at the polls.